Last year, there were 10,263 games released on Steam. Think about that for a minute. That's an average of 28 games of varying quality a day for an entire year, 365 days. God damn. The rate at which these games are getting churned out is absolutely mind-blowing. It's impossible to stay on top of all of them. And as we've discussed at length in this series, there's a lot of instances in games where the developers hide strange or weird things for players to discover, some of which don't get found till sometimes years later. Hell, there are some things we were better off never finding. So when you think 10,263 games in 2020 alone, just on Steam, what treasures await? Or, something like that. The possibilities are endless. On December 8th, 2015, the developer Sluggerfly released Ben and Ed, a 3D platformer with a morbid, tongue-in-cheek sense of humor that has a zombie named Ed attempting to save his friend Ben by being forced to compete in this weird, messed-up game show called Run Dead. The game was good, harmless, dark humor-infused fun. It was a fairly popular game amongst the Let's Play crowd back in the day, and looking at it, you wouldn't even think twice about it. But, of course, what the players didn't know at first was that the game was hiding a disturbing secret. Shortly after the game's release, players started discovering strange Easter eggs, which isn't really something that out of the ordinary, one of them being a secret area late in the game, where you think you found Ben, but instead, you're taunted by an on-screen pop-up saying, "Ben drowns," followed by a phrase in German that translates to, "The stairs of life are like an elevator," and Ben drowns being an obvious reference to the super popular Majora's Mask creepypasta, Ben Drowned. And then, things got super weird. A secret, fairly difficult to reach area contained cryptic instructions to go to a Facebook page called Ben Ed. The page contained all sorts of strange imagery that seemingly had nothing to do with the game itself, and people began discovering things hidden within the photos on the page. On March 6, 2016, a new mode was added called Bencalypse, where you play as zombie Ben. If players reach the end of Bencalypse mode, then this happens. The screen goes black, accompanied by a super creepy face that I can only describe as an elderly-looking baby. There's text all over the screen repeating Ben, Ben Ed, not to mention this sequence completely crashes the game itself. And of course, in the bottom right-hand corner, a series of numbers and letters. GPS coordinates. God damn GPS coordinates. So, we have a game with strange, bizarre Easter eggs, one of which alludes to a mysterious Facebook page containing all kinds of disturbing imagery, and a hidden set of GPS coordinates. We've been here, we've seen these things before, and all signs point to this being an alternate reality game, or ARG. The GPS coordinates pointed to a wooded area in Essen, Germany. German musician Ryan Vusen was the first on the scene, who posted to the Ben Facebook page on March 8th, just 2 days after the Bencalypse update went live. He shared a photo of what he discovered, a package containing drawings, a torn-up photo, an iPod, and a bone. It also confirmed that the GPS coordinates in Essen led to a drain, the same one from the Ben Facebook page. We'll return to Ryan and the items he discovered in a minute. A lot of interest started developing around the Ben and Ed mystery. Players in Europe took notice especially, and at the center of the community effort, a Spanish YouTube channel called Burst Gamer. Burst began posting daily updates to the Ben and Ed mystery that discussed theories and dissected the Ben Facebook photos and posts. Burst Gamer's videos, of course, are all in Spanish, and honestly, a lot of the Ben and Ed mystery, a lot of the coverage and info out there is not in English. Almost none of it, which definitely made it a challenge to research. But it's so interesting that in the end, I think it was worth it. Burst Gamer's videos on the subject started bringing in a lot of viewers that soon caught the attention of the game's developers, Sluggerfly, who, wouldn't you know it, were based out of Essen, Germany. When pressed on the subject, Sluggerfly denied any knowledge or involvement in the mysterious Facebook posts. In fact, they denied any knowledge of the in-game Easter eggs, which, how could that be? Later in March 2016, Burst flew out to Essen, Germany, where he was able to interview two of the game's developers, Christian Patora and Dominic Plasman. You see, the game was made by literally just a few people. 3 names are listed in the credits. But during the interview, they explained how certain parts of the game were actually outsourced to a fourth person they knew only online, named Benedict.
He only told us his name, Benedict, but we don't know if it's his real name.
Of course his name's Benedict. So the implication being, it's Benedict behind all the strange happenings around the game. Dominic and Christian denied any knowledge or involvement in any way. Now, back to the package discovered at the coordinates. While in Essen, Burse also met with Ryan Vucin, where he was able to examine the clues that were found there. The iPod in particular was a point of interest. Examining it further, it was confirmed that it used to belong to Sluggerfly developer Dominic Plasman, and it contained thousands of personal emails dating back to 2010. Oops. As well as images for a seemingly unreleased game. When asked about the iPod, Dominic claimed that he hadn't seen it in years, and didn't provide any insight on how it may have wound up in the package found in the drain. Speaking of which, Burse of course also visited the coordinates, accompanied by the Sluggerfly devs. While investigating, there in the drain, they discovered another package. This one containing more drawings, a black piece of fabric, more pieces of a torn photograph, and a ripped up banknote from Hong Kong. After dark, the group investigated a nearby abandoned house, where more clues were discovered, including several bones. The investigation was cut short, however, as they sensed that they weren't alone. All while this was happening, the Ben Facebook page continued to be active and make frequent posts, even indicating a sacrifice would be happening soon, most likely referencing Burse's visit to Essen. In fact, a photo was uploaded of the abandoned building Burse visited, with an eye drawn over it. Earlier, another image was also posted, a picture of Ben, that upon further inspection contained a lot of important clues, cut marks that would split Ben into 4 pieces, a reference to coordinates, and most importantly, locations: Essen, France, and under that, 2 question marks. Shortly after this post, another set of coordinates were discovered on the Ben Facebook page, this time pointing to a location in France. That post has unfortunately since been deleted. In fact, many posts from the page have actually been removed. But in France, another package containing more clues were found at the coordinates, containing another piece of black cloth, piece of the torn photograph, and the other half of the banknote from Hong Kong. Going back to this photo now, things become a bit more clear. What it looks like is Ben was cut into pieces, and clues/bones were stashed at 4 different locations: Essen, France, and 2 more undiscovered locations. All of this being apparently the work of some deranged, mysterious developer known only as Benedict. Another mysterious in-game Easter egg was discovered, a room full of red, nonsensical writing on the walls, including the name Benedict. On April 8th, a video was uploaded to YouTube and shared on the Ben Facebook page, published to a channel called Can't Save Ben. It was 1 minute and 36 seconds of strange, bizarre, and disturbing imagery that shows the perspective of a person cutting off an arm, and it contained an image of a severed foot. Obviously, I won't be able to show this to you guys, but as you can imagine, this garnered a strong reaction online. And as one might expect, it didn't take long for the YouTube video to be removed for violating YouTube's policy on graphic content. On top of that, the Ben Facebook page itself was taken down, and Dominic Plasman admitted to reporting the page, explaining that he didn't want any of it to be associated with the game, and whoever's doing it likely suffers from mental illness. However, the Ben Facebook page would end up getting restored, and in late April posted another clue, an image that contained a set of coordinates that pointed to Italy. Inspecting the area on Google Maps reveals that it's very close to yet another drain, which also appears in the photo which contained the coordinates. And after some confusion within the community, and many people claiming to have investigated the new coordinates and not being able to find anything, a person came forward with the package and sent photos to Burse. The package contained more drawings that were consistent with the others. The rest of the contents included a strange double-headed screw, a keychain ring, bone fragments, and a piece of what looks like burlap. And the frustrating thing is it really does seem like these are almost just random items. The big picture isn't any clearer with these items found. If anything, it only adds more question marks. And this is where any real progress in the mystery seems to almost abruptly come to an end. I know, it's anticlimactic, but it's certainly not due to any shortage of clues. I mean, it almost feels like there's an overwhelming amount of clues that seemingly don't tie together, red herrings or dead ends. The Ben Facebook page over the years would continue to post cryptic images, photos of real-life locations that seem to hide some sort of deeper meaning, one would think. But due to lack of manpower, or perhaps lack of interest, no progress has been made in deciphering what all of these mean. As of this recording, the most recent post was made just 2 months ago, in February 2021. But we're not done yet. Now that we've taken a look at the clues, the timeline, and we have somewhat of an understanding as to what transpired, let's take a closer look at some of the pieces of this puzzle. The locations. 3 of 4 locations have been discovered. Essen, Germany, France, Italy. All European locations, but more specifically, where the packages were found, what characteristics do they all share? Water. 2 of the coordinates pointed to drain tunnels, and the location in France was near a body of water. We don't have specifics on where that package was found, but I believe it's possible it was found near a drain as well. So, being all located near water, what difference does that make? Well, what was one of the first in-game Easter eggs we talked about? Ben drowned, seemingly in reference to the famous creepypasta, but with all of the known packages being found near water, perhaps there is a more literal connection there. Cannibalism. The world of Ben and Ed is weird, dystopian. While going through the stages of the Run Dead game show, there's all kinds of references to eating meat candy. It's all kinda nasty. And in a very dark, unexpected twist in the ending, spoiler alert, once Ed the zombie is finally reunited with Ben, he eats him. I mean, he's a zombie, so we shouldn't be too surprised. Are zombies cannibals? Does that count? I don't know. Either way, the significance of the town of Essen, Germany might have more to do than just being the hometown of developer Sluggerfly. It was also the birthplace of Armin Muse, aka the Rottenberg Cannibal, who was arrested in 2002 for killing and eating a man, and is currently serving a life sentence.
Well, I was going to eat you.
Do you know what Essen means in German? Eat. You can't make this stuff up. The Manifest video. The Manifest video has been a hotly debated clue since it was originally uploaded in April 2016. Given the very realistic nature of the video, there were many people who genuinely believed that the Manifest video was depicting real violence, and the person who made it, allegedly Benedict, to be an actual person who's very, very dangerous. But there's also a lot of people who believe that the real person behind this video was developer Dominic Plasman. Speaking of which, the developers. Just my opinion on this one, despite Sluggerfly repeatedly suggesting they're in no way involved, I think it's obvious that couldn't be further from the truth. Claiming that it's the work of some deranged 4th developer named Benedict who isn't even cited in the credits, in what's clearly a play on words if that wasn't obvious already, this whole thing is most definitely orchestrated by Dominic and Christian. And I say this with the utmost respect, but certain aspects of the ARG are a bit sloppy. The main thing that didn't make sense to me is why there was another package for Burst to discover in Essen, despite Ryan Vusen already claiming a package at the coordinates 2 weeks prior. It doesn't make any sense, unless you consider the fact that Burst Gamer had over 1 million YouTube subscribers at the time. So it would definitely be in the developer's best interest if something exciting happened during Burst's investigation. So you need to ask yourself what's more beneficial for the developers, if a regular person finds the package, or if a person with a large YouTube following finds the package. So what we're left with is a possibly unfinished alternate reality game. Many dead-end clues that I didn't even have time to get into all of them. The torn-up photo, the bill from Hong Kong, the black fabric, the last city on the list, the room with the red writing, part of which seems to also hint to 9gag for some reason, the relevance of the iPod, which I'm convinced there's an important clue hidden on it somewhere, I mean, it wouldn't be there for nothing, the mysterious locations posted to the Facebook page which seemingly have zero relevance, the list goes on and on. Has it really all simply been abandoned? The recent Facebook page posting would have you believe it isn't. I find alternate reality games to be super fascinating. They make you feel like you've stumbled upon some deep, dark secret. I get that a normal person who just wants to play a video game will probably look at all this and just say,
but why?
Why indeed? Why would a developer go to such great lengths to put something so strange and obscure in their game? Well, to answer that, we need to go back to the very first statement I made in this video. Last year, there were 10,263 games released on Steam. Truly, the biggest challenge a small developer faces is simply standing out. Getting people to play your game, getting people to talk about your game, and in that sense, I mean, for Sluggerfly, this could probably be considered a huge success. Despite not really catching on across the pond here in North America, the Ben and Ed mystery certainly cultivated a large following. As of now, the Ben Facebook page is followed by nearly 100,000 people, and Burst Gamer made nearly 70 videos on Ben and Ed.
It's free real estate.
Meanwhile, Sluggerfly has been busy working on their next game, Hell Pie, due out in early 2021. In a trailer posted in October 2020, at the 43-second mark, a single frame with a wall of text flashes on the screen, telling people to buy the game. But there's also some faint text in the bottom right-hand corner which says, "Stop researching, we have nothing to do with Ben." So, maybe we ought to take their word for it. But one thing is certain, there's clearly a whole lot of unfinished business. And I can't help but wonder, with another Sluggerfly release on the horizon, if Benedict will become active once again. Thanks so much for watching this episode of Deep Cuts. As always, please let me know what you thought about it. Hit the like button if you enjoyed it. It really does help this channel out a lot. And then consider binge watching the rest of the Deep Cuts videos using the playlist. And of course, this story is not over. It's not finished, seemingly. So if there is any updates, please believe we'll be making a follow-up video. Thanks for watching this one, guys. Peace!